Hey Radiance family, it's that time of year for our Plankful Challenge where we will be working up to a 3-minute plank. In today's video, I want to give you some options in case you have shoulders or wrist issues and just show you some great ways that you can get creative and have some fun with your plank. So the very first place you'll be going is to a wall. Wall planks have been really helpful for some of my clients, especially ones who are weak in their shoulders and wrists or have shoulder and wrist issues. You'll stand in front of the wall, press your hands straight, and then you're in charge here. You could just stand right here and press the wall away, and you will start to create some really nice strength and stability, lengthening through your heels. And then you're going to start to walk away from the wall and get a little more of a diagonal or a little more of an angle, and you'll see that that will make your plank a little more intense. You could walk your hands down if you'd like, or keep them slightly up. If this is intense in your shoulders or wrists, you simply can walk your two hands in opposite directions away from each other. So the wall plank can also be taken onto our forearms. So let's try that one. You'll walk forward to the wall, come onto your forearms. More or less, your elbows will be in line with your shoulders. And then again, you press the forearms into the wall, press your palms into the wall, press your inner wrists into the wall, and you'll immediately see that you get some wonderful activation. The whole body will light up. If you want to make it more intense, the elbows will slide down a bit. You begin walking away from the wall. And so you can just hold this statically, pressing into the wall, and really feel your shoulder blades spread when you do this. You also could make this more dynamic by lifting your heels, then lowering your heels down. Lifting your heels, lowering down. So if you did that for 3 minutes, I promise you'd be feeling something special. We'll walk your feet forward and let the hands come down, and I'll take you to our next place, which is reclining plank. So for today's reclining plank, I'm going to actually demo it with hand weights. They are optional. If you don't have hand weights, of course you could use bottles of water or soup cans. So you'll come to lie flat on the floor. Take your weight into your hands if you wish, and then stretch your arms up to the sky. Now let's find the actions of plank pose, and you'll see that this can get pretty darn juicy. So you'll press your hands up towards the ceiling as though you're actually pressing the floor away as you do in plank pose. The outer armpits press up towards the ceiling. You'll feel them lift slightly away from the floor. Now engage the low belly by pulling the low belly deep, 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 deep down into the floor. You want to maintain that. And then, of course, when you're in plank pose, you're pressing into the toe mound. So let's find that by flexing your toes towards your kneecap. Your heels most likely will lift up a little bit off the floor and then press into your heels and your toe mounds evenly. And then you'll automatically feel some engagement of your legs. So this might just be plenty for you. I love this for people with wrist and shoulder issues. If you wanted to juice this up a little bit, you could exhale to bend your elbows, bring the elbows down by your side, so that's your low plank, and then inhale, stretch the arms straight, high plank. Exhale, bend, keep burrowing the belly deep in towards the floor, and up. If you wanted to even add on to this more, you would bend both legs, bring your feet to the floor, then stretch the legs up to the sky, and then we can get some great abdominal engagement here, especially the lower abs. So keep pressing into those toe mounds. So your feet are halfway between pointing and flexing, but your toes are coming in towards the knees. And then you just start to drop the legs down at any angle that feels okay for your back. Please be kind to your back here. If you need to bend your knees, that is fine. And you can keep lowering down, down, down. And this can become a very active reclining plank. I'm getting a little shake. And then the legs will come up. Bend your knees. Feel free to stay there as long as you like. Otherwise, move on with me. Feet come down, planks to the side. Those would be weights. Weights to the side. Our next variation is tabletop. So coming to table, wrists under shoulders, knees under hips. So table, of course, is a very gentle variation of our plank pose. We're now getting more in line with traditional plank pose in terms of our relationship with gravity. Okay, and then you could stretch one leg straight back behind you. Again, you'd be on those toe mounds, lengthen the heel back, press the floor away, feel the shoulder blades spread, Please soften the shoulders away from your ears as you lengthen through the crown of your head. That knee will come down, and then you switch sides. Pressing through the toe mounds, lengthening through the heel, pulling your belly deep up into your spine. You'll notice that that's something that is a recurring theme as we travel through these different planks. And then that knee will come down. Balancing cat is fabulous training for your plank pose. So before we stretched the right leg out and we kept the toes on the floor, this time you can lift up. And then, if available, the left arm will lengthen forward. Squeeze your limbs to the midline. So all I have to do now is say low belly, you know what to do. And extend the crown of your head forward, lengthen out through your heel. Left hand comes down, right knee comes down, left leg extends back behind you, toes dial down towards the earth. Toes, of course, could stay on the earth. Right arm lengthens up. See how much length and space you can find here so that you don't feel overly compressed. I love the sense of expansion while strengthening, and we can find that in these poses. And then your right hand comes down, your left knee comes down. This could also take place on your forearms, so if your wrists are feeling a bit fussy, come down to your forearms. Even if they're not, try this with me. And then walk your knees back, 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 just as much as feels good in your body. And then the hips will come forward. I'm actually always surprised at how much work this one is. You play with the positioning of your elbows. They can come forward slightly. They can come a little bit wider. Your hands can come together. Press the floor away. Look at your inner wrists. Spin them towards the mat. You know what to do with your belly. And then the shoulder blades are spreading away from each other. So you can see this one gets pretty spicy. And then let's just lower the hips down to the floor for a little sphinx for a stretch. That will feel lovely. Next place that we're going is high plank with the knees on the floor. So that'll be straight arms. Your hands come down to the earth right around the shoulders. Press yourself up. And so we want to be on the knees for this first time through. You'll then walk your hands slightly forward and position the shoulders over your wrists. Your toes stay on the floor, although some people do like to lift their toes up towards their glutes. Right, you'll get a little squeeze through your hamstrings if you do that one. You're pushing the floor away, you're spreading your shoulder blades, belly to spine, heart nice and open. Fantastic way to train for your plank. And then we can turn this into traditional high plank. Hips move back and up. One by one, you stretch your legs straight. So here we are in our traditional plank. Quite often you'll hear it cued to drop your hips down and lengthen your tailbone towards your heels. Some people find that they really need to keep their hips lifted. So if your hips stay lifted, that's fine. Ignore us when we tell you to drop your hips, okay? Now this, of course, can turn into side plank. Of course it can. So look at your right hand. You're going to walk the right hand to the midline of your mat. Spin both of your heels to the right, and your left hand will lengthen up to the sky. Here in side plank, there are so many fun places you can come. You could lift your top leg if you like. You could make it a tree leg. You could also bring that top leg in front of you like a kickstand. Okay, let's take that the other way. Left hand comes to the midline of your mat. Heel spin to the left. Lift your right arm up. You're pushing the hips away from the floor. You could lift that top leg. You could find tree. You could bring it in front of you. And then back to your high plank. And then guess what? You can take all of that on your forearms. So moving from high plank down to forearm plank. Again, feel free to play with the placement of your elbows. They can be slightly forward of your shoulders. Push the floor away, tuck your tailbone under. Okay, so we can, before we move on to the side plank, let's do pelvic tilts here so that you can just feel something really interesting and different in your forearm plank. If you tuck your tailbone under, spread the shoulder blades and push into your elbows, you're going to feel the entire core strengthening in a brand new way. It might take your breath away. Okay, and now we're going to turn this into forearm plank on your side. First we'll be balancing on the right. So your right hand will come into the midline a bit. It's really nice to create that diagonal for stability. Your heels will roll over to the right, left hand up. So I didn't say this in the other forearm plank or the other side plank, but if you want to scissor your legs, that can make a huge difference in terms of your stability. Again, you could lift that top leg if you wish. Another fun thing that you can do here is lift your hips and dip them down. So play with that if you wish. And then let's take it on over to the other side. Left forearm comes down, create that little diagonal. Spin your heels to the left. Right arm reaches up. Lift your hips as high as you can. And then if you want to play with that top leg, go for it. If you want to play with those hip dips, go for it. You will feel the entire side body light up. Smile with joy. And come back to your forearm plank. Come down to your knees. Take a little child's pose. And then roll it on up. So we've had our traditional plank. We've had plank at the wall. We've had supine plank. And of course our side plank variations. Another great place to come is reverse plank. So come to sit on the floor. We're going to baby step into this one. For reverse plank actually is very opening to the front of the body. So if we have tight shoulders, it's going to be challenging and extremely strengthening to the back lines of the body. So I like to begin training for this posture down on the forearms. Roll your shoulders back, lift your chest up. So you'll feel a really nice shoulder stretch. And then walk your feet away from your hips. You want just a little bit more than a right angle through your legs. Press into your feet and then lift your hips any little bit. And you'll see it doesn't take much to feel the activation through the shoulders, through the core, through the legs. Okay, so that's step one. Hips can come down. If you want to take this up into the straight arms, you'll come up. Bring your hands behind you. If you have tight shoulders, you want the fingertips of each hand turning away from each other. Otherwise, the traditional posture is bringing the fingertips in towards your hips. Roll the shoulders back, lift your heart up, press into your feet, lift your hips up, and there's your reverse table. So you can hold right here. Something that can really light up the back body is if you hug the heels and the hands towards each other. So isometric squeeze there. This is one that I practice on a regular basis. I love the way it strengthens my back and also opens up my shoulders. And then if you want to make this even a little bit more complicated, walk your feet straight, which really means challenging. So some people will be able to get their feet on the floor. Oh, mine don't touch. That's okay. Lift your hips, roll the shoulders back. Keep your gaze neutral, or if it feels okay in your head, you can drop, or if it feels okay in your neck, you would just drop the head back. Let's hold this one for 4. Find those isometric contractions, hands towards heels. 3, 2, 1. Head up, elbows bend, hips down, and then the perfect stretch after that is a really soft forward fold. Bring your feet to the floor, legs bent, and just drape yourself over your legs. And so that concludes our little exploration of plank in many different ways. I hope you'll join us for our Plankful Challenge, where we will be experiencing the joy of creating gratitude, strength, and connecting with the Radiance Yoga family, all while we stay at home. Thank you and namaste.